In this lesson, we're going to cover how you can make changes to an existing content type. Specifically, we're going to look at modifying the fields on a content type, as well as modifying some of the default behaviors of the content type itself. So we're going to look at the article content type. And we're going to do that first by looking at the article form in relation to a piece of content that we've already created. So I'm going to look at exploring spices and then edit this particular form. So we're looking at the form, we can see a lot of information. We have a title field, a body field, a tags field, and an image field. But perhaps we might be using a lot of images that are shared publicly using the Creative Commons Share-alike attribution license. And if we're going to do that, then we need to credit the photographers. So in order to do this, we're going to add a field for photo credit. Let me scroll up here. You can easily add this kind of content to a menu. It doesn't really make sense in the context of this particular site for articles, which are sort of like blog posts, to be in a menu. We don't want people who post articles to accidentally or intentionally add them to the main menu because that will really impact the user interface that we're trying to create in a negative way by cluttering it up. Here's a good point to talk about a general rule of thumb. If you are building a site for somebody else, you want to think about their skill level as well as what they might think is a good idea. If you make it possible for your end site manager or content editor to do something that will negatively impact the appearance of your site, they will. Usually, this will happen by error, and once you let them know what they've done, they will fix it and hopefully they won't do it again. Sometimes, however, you're going to have somebody who knows just enough to be dangerous and is going to think that what they're doing is actually a good idea. So, part of your job as the site builder is to protect the integrity of the site by removing the possibility for people to do things that they shouldn't. So, our task regarding this particular form for the article content type is clear. We need to add a photo credit field to the node form, and we need to remove the ability to easily add the article to a menu from the node form itself. The first step is to manage the content type, which we're going to do under the Manage tab, Structure. And in this list, one of your options is Content Types. Next to each content type that is listed, in addition to the description, you have an Operations drop-down menu. Let's go ahead and click on that. So this drop-down menu includes 5 options. Manage Fields, which allows you to add or edit the fields that you have on your form. Manage Form Display, which allows you to change the order of those fields and the way that those fields look for the person entering the content. Manage Display, which allows you to change how those fields are going to display and how the content type will display to the end user, the public-facing site. Edit, which is where we'll change the menu settings. It's a place where you can change the general settings for this particular content type, such as the description and default behaviors. And then Delete, which is self-explanatory. So first we're going to do the easy fix, which is to remove this content type's ability to be placed into a menu from the node form. And that's going to happen under the general settings for the content type, which we'll access in the edit section. There are a number of things that you can change in this particular section, including the description for the content type, which can be really helpful for your site managers and your content editors. You can also change the title field label. For example, if this content type were a person content type where you might be entering staff, you might want to change the field label to name so that it's not confusing. This is where you would set the default publishing options. In the case of articles, by default, articles are promoted to the front page. If we don't want that, we can uncheck promoted to the front page. Display settings allows you to determine whether or not the submitted by information displays on the content on the public-facing side. What we're interested in here, however, is the Menu Settings tab. This particular content type can be placed into the main navigation menu. I don't want it to be placed into any menu at all, so I'm going to uncheck Main Navigation and leave all of them unchecked. Save this content type. Now, if I head over to the node form, which I have open in another tab, right now you'll see Menu Settings as one of the options in the tabs on the right-hand side. I'm going to reload this form. menu settings has now disappeared from that list of options on the right-hand side. So I can no longer easily add an article to a menu from the node form. I'll have to go in and manage the menu itself in order to add an article to it. The next thing that we want to do is add the photo credit field to this content type form. So under article content type, the operation I want is manage fields. We have the fields that we're already aware of: body, comments. This particular content type allows for comments, image, and tags. I'm going to go ahead and click add field, and I'm creating a new field. You'll see that the other option here is reuse an existing field. So if you've created fields for other content types, you can actually use those fields on multiple content types if you would like to. But we're going to add a new field, going to be a plain text field, and the label is going to be photo credit. Notice when I entered photo credit, on the right of that field, machine name field underscore photo underscore credit appeared. The machine name is very important. This is how the database recognizes what this particular field is. You cannot have two fields with the same machine name. All machine names must be unique. You can leave the default machine name if you'd like, or if you want to edit the machine name, you can certainly do that, but it's not typically recommended unless you know what you're doing and you've really mapped out a machine name structure before building your site. I'm going to save this. Now it's going to ask us about global settings for this particular content type. These settings cannot be changed once data exists in the site, so it's really important to think about how you want these fields to behave before setting them up. We're going to leave the default settings here because this is a line for the name of an individual. Now we have more options on how that photo credit field is going to behave, including the ability to add help text. You can make the field required, and you can set a default value. Once you're happy with these settings, then you can save them. Different types of fields will have different options available here. So for example, if your field is a link field, you'll have very different choices as to how that field is going to behave. Now we're going to go back to the article node form here and reload it. If I scroll down, you'll see that there is now a photo credit field that we can use with the help text that we added into the description. We're going to go ahead and edit an existing article and add a photo credit. I'm going to save this and keep it published. Now if I scroll down, we'll see the photo credit right there at the bottom. To review, we took the default content type, article, and we modified its behavior. Our next task will be to adjust how the content type displays to the end user